Elite Facts presents
Top 10 Creepiest Gaming Easter Eggs.
10.
It's clear that at CD Projekt Red there are some Doctor Who lovers. Fans of The Witcher 3 will obviously be familiar with this creepy Easter egg. In The Witcher 3, if the player heads to the church, which is located near Lindenvale, they'll encounter some statues of angels. If the player turns around so that the statues are not in their line of sight, and then turn back again, they'll notice that the statues have moved and are now facing towards them. For those of you who haven't seen Doctor Who, these statues mimic the sinister time-traveling weeping angels.
9.
In one of the early test chambers of Portal 2, the player will be able to discover an abandoned room that will be secluded above one of the large fans on the ceiling. If the player can portal through to this hidden room, they'll notice that the room they end up in is rather similar to the rooms that are in the original Portal game. Once the player has made it to this hidden room, they'll notice all of the graffiti on one of the sides of the room. If they stand close enough to that wall, they'll hear some sort of disturbing chanting. This chanting is supposedly coming from the character Doug Ratman, who is a background character. He's one of the few survivors of GLaDOS Enrichment Center.
8.
Although this Easter egg isn't really that scary, it is sure to freak the player out in some way, shape, or form. When the player encounters Psycho Mantis, which is one of the bosses of the game, he will start to read the mind of the main protagonist, Snake. The creepy thing about this is that the boss actually reads the player's memory card and tells the player what games they've been playing on. This Easter egg had to make this list simply due to how eerie and innovative it is.
7.
On the Ghost House 4-4 level in Super Mario 3D Land, if the player goes to the far right corner of the map where the spiked fence is and waits for roughly 30 seconds, at the end of the level they'll notice an eerie ghost figure appear and then quickly disappear. The interesting thing about this Easter egg is that this graphic image does not appear anywhere else in the game other than on that mission.
6.
Easter eggs in video games have always been fun to find. Usually they do require some work in order to encounter them. A common, well-known Easter egg that Silent Hill players know of is Robbie Rabbit. This sinister little anthropomorphic bunny terrified players throughout the Silent Hill franchise, making his appearance in Silent Hill 3 all the way to Silent Hill Revelation. There's no explanation given about Robbie's condition. On Silent Hill 4, The Room, depending on what actions the player took, certain types of hauntings or events would happen in the room. One of the most common ones is that if the player looked through the cracked wall, they would see Robbie Rabbit sitting motionless on the bed. If the player continued to look through the hole in the wall, he would stare back at the player. Pretty disturbing stuff.
5.
There are plenty of myths and legends on Grand Theft Auto 5 which the player can follow up on. But one of the creepiest ones has to be the Ghost Girl near the peak of Mount Gordo. If the player travels up the mountain, before they reach the top of the peak, they'll end up at a flat rock on the ground overlooking the coast. On the rock, there will be the word Jock written in blood. If the player waits there until 2300, they'll witness a female ghost near the flat rock motionless and looking at them. The ghost wears a white robe and has long, black, overgrown hair. This Easter egg is definitely one of the most spooky ones in Grand Theft Auto 5.
4.
Despite Five Nights at Freddy's already being a creepy game, there's a hidden Easter egg that some players don't know about. This Easter egg mainly crops up on the first night of the game, in the room 2B, which is located at the West Hall. The player will see a normal poster of Freddy. If the player continues in this room, the poster has the chance to change into a picture of Golden Freddy. As the player brings down their camera, they'll hear a little girl laugh, and then they'll be greeted with a jump scare of Golden Freddy popping up. This automatically triggers the game into ending. Although this seems quite anticlimactic, this Easter egg is still rather creepy.
3.
In the first-person shooter survival horror Fear 3, players will encounter some unusual and creepy things throughout the game. But on the Interval 4 Suburbs level, players will notice the increased sightings of teddy bears, the majority of them just sitting there motionless. But there is one particular teddy bear that can be found in one of the rooms, and this teddy bear has glowing red eyes. Once the player stares at the teddy for a certain period of time, the teddy will explode and deal damage to the player. The weird thing about this Easter egg is the fact that the teddy will return to its normal state after it's exploded.
2. On
Condemned Criminal Origins, there are plenty of creepy events that occur during the game, but easily one of the creepiest is the moving mannequin heads. When the player enters the Bart's department store, they'll see 2 mannequin dolls to the right side of the store. As the player approaches these mannequins, their heads will slowly turn towards the player. Even more creepy, you'll hear voices that call to the player and taunt them.
1,
On the GameCube version of Animal Crossing, there's a sinister secret that's well known to the players of the game. If the player leaves the town and resets the game while they're in another town, the character's face will change into the gyroid face. For people who don't know what the gyroid face is, it's basically where the character's eyes and mouth become hollowed out. Many people claim this occurrence to be a glitch, but the developers actually programmed this into the game. Considering the Animal Crossing game is supposed to be a game for child players, this Easter egg is quite creepy.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.